In 2002, I started having symptoms of constipation. My stomach was hard, and then it got to a point where I hadn't gone to the bathroom in 2 weeks. And I wound up having to go to the emergency room. They gave me something, sent me home, didn't check me, didn't do anything, but I passed about. About a month after that, I wound up passing out at work. And I was a bus driver for Chicago Transit Authority at the time. And they thought I was having a heart attack because I was having heart palpitations. And they were like, well, no, your blood count is 6.4. So we're going to give you a blood transfusion, and we're going to send you to see your doctor. So they gave me a blood transfusion, sent me to my doctor. And they sent me to my OBGYN. And at that time, they were like, well, you know what, you do have a history of endometriosis and fibroid tumors, so we're just going to go ahead and do your, remove your ovaries. So I said, okay, didn't care. It didn't make a difference. So then they called me back and said, you know what, we found some cancer cells in your uterus, so we're going to bring you back for a hysterectomy. So I went back for a hysterectomy. But at no point during this time did anybody think that it was anything else other than female-related issues. So I had the surgery, and I was soon to be okay. About 2 months later, I wound up having to go back to the emergency room because I couldn't keep water down. And my doctor said, when you get there, call me, and I'll tell them what to do. So when I got there, they drew my blood, and my blood count at that time was 5.2. And the nurse came into the room and said, oh my God, how did you get here? And I said, I drove. And she says, well, you shouldn't have been able to. She said, there's something going on because your blood count is 5.2. You're bleeding from somewhere. So me not knowing what that means, I just said, well, I would have an accident, but okay. So they did a fecal occult blood test and found that I had blood in my stool. After they found that, then they said, well, okay, we need to do a colonoscopy, right away. So they found a grapefruit-sized tumor in my right side of my colon. So I went from a hospital bed from emergency room hospital bed and surgery within 36 hours. They removed 95% of my colon, but they didn't tell me how life was going to be after they removed my colon. I was there for 10 days, lost 50 pounds, went home and looked like death was waiting for me. My kids were ranging in age from 4 to 16. So it was tragic to them because they hadn't seen me. Once I got home, life continued. Didn't tell me I couldn't work. They didn't tell me that I was going to have accidents. They didn't tell me, how this was going to affect me. So after being home for about 2 months, trying to pay bills, couldn't pay bills because I couldn't go to work, was denied Social Security because they said, apparently, your colon being removed doesn't render you disabled. So I wound up trying to commit suicide because I could not bear the thought of my youngest watching me die. So I had a nurse in the psych ward who said, who can better tell your story than your children? Your children need you to be here because everybody else is going to tell them their version of you. They need to know who you are. So I made sense, and I felt guilty, and I prayed, and I asked God to forgive me, and was like, if I survived to see that youngest become 18, I would do everything I could to raise awareness and educate people about colorectal cancer. She turned 18 January 18th of this year, and I have done for the last 14 years, raised awareness about colorectal cancer and educated people about the significance of knowing your family history, to which I just found out 3 years ago that my father and 2 of his sisters were diagnosed with colorectal cancer post-autopsy. And I also found that I was Lynch syndrome. So not knowing that I had a family history, not knowing that this was going to be my life at 36, I wind up being in this whirlwind of medical issues, depression and all of this because I wasn't aware. One of my messages is family secrets kill families. What you don't tell your family about your health issues has the potential to kill your family lineage. It may be private to you, but your private issue has the ability to kill your whole family line. Secondly, you have to prevention is nothing to fear. The fight is the fear. So you're fearing something that you have no idea. All you have to do is take a prep. That's it. If they find something, they find it early, they can fix it. Colon cancer is 90% preventable. Who does not want to survive something that's 90% preventable? I don't understand that. And if I had the opportunity to know before I was diagnosed, I definitely would have been getting my screenings a lot earlier. Yes, I love booty.